Born Gale Sandra Klinetsky on August 28, 1940. In the Bronx, New York, Gloria Leonard came into the world during a time of profound transition. America was slowly recovering from the Great Depression, and New York was a tough, working-class city where opportunity was earned through grit. Growing up Jewish in a predominantly Catholic area, Leonard understood from an early age what it meant to be an outsider. Her early education was typical of middle-class Jewish families at the time: rigorous, discipline-oriented, and heavily focused on ensuring upward mobility. Leonard attended parochial school, excelled academically, and internalized a strong work ethic. Yet even as a young woman, there were signs of a rebellious, independent spirit that would later define her career. Roots in the Bronx. During her teenage years, America was experiencing seismic shifts: the rise of rock and roll, the early rumblings of the civil rights movement, and a growing challenge to post-war conformity. Leonard absorbed these currents, even if she initially pursued a conventional path. After high school, she married and gave birth to a daughter. But domestic life was stifling for the ambitious and sharp-minded Leonard. By her late 20s, her marriage had ended, and she was working in the finance world, an arena overwhelmingly dominated by men. Her time as a stockbroker in the 1960s Wall Street world was formative. It taught her negotiation, resilience, and the realities of gender discrimination. She quickly realized that to survive and thrive, she had to be tougher, smarter, and more fearless than the men around her. These early lessons would prove invaluable later when she entered the most male-dominated and misunderstood industry in American culture: mature entertainment. Leonard's leap into mature films. Unlike many of her peers, Gloria Leonard entered the mature film world at age 35, far later than the typical ingenues populating the burgeoning X-rated industry. Her path into films was not born from desperation, but curiosity and opportunity. In the early 1970s, New York City was at the epicenter of the sexual revolution. Times Square was still a gritty, neon-lit labyrinth of porn theaters, peep shows, and adult bookstores. Artists, filmmakers, and revolutionaries mingled with hustlers, strippers, and performers in a feverish underground culture. Leonard's entry into mature cinema happened through connections in this world. Friends and independent filmmaking circles suggested she try her hand at acting in mature films. At first, she was hesitant, but Leonard saw an opportunity, both financial and creative. She made her debut in a series of low-budget features, immediately distinguishing herself with her polished diction, mature sensuality, and intellectual sharpness. Here was an actress who could actually act, who could deliver complex lines, project authority, and hold her own against anyone on screen. Her statuesque, elegant beauty also set her apart. With her expressive eyes, high cheekbones, and smoky voice, Leonard embodied a different kind of fantasy. Not the innocent girl next door, but the sophisticated, worldly woman who knew exactly what she wanted. Gloria Leonard's rise. The mid-1970s marked the golden age of films, an era when mature films were not just tolerated but celebrated in mainstream culture. Films like Deep Throat, 1972, The Devil and Miss Jones, 1973, and Behind the Green Door, 1972, became surprise hits at the box office. Films was reviewed in the New York Times, and celebrities were spotted attending premieres. It was in this cultural ferment that Leonard's career flourished. Her most significant film appearances include the opening of Misty Beethoven, 1976, directed by the legendary Radley Metzger under his pseudonym Henry Paris. The opening of Misty Beethoven remains a towering masterpiece of mature cinema, adapted loosely from George Bernard Shaw's Pygmalion. The film follows a rags-to-riches transformation narrative. Leonard played a supporting role as a sophisticated woman within the elite society that the protagonist aspires to join. She brought a dry wit, intelligence, and an air of authority to the role, contrasting sharply with the often naive or caricature portrayals common in the genre. Her performance proved that mature films could feature real acting, nuanced characters, and layered performances. 7 into Snowy, 1976. In this playful, tongue-in-cheek retelling of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Leonard again showcased her flair for combining sexuality with satire. The film was both erotic and comedic, and Leonard's performance highlighted her rare ability to deliver camp without sacrificing sensuality. Taboo American Style, 1985. This ambitious multi-part miniseries blended soap opera melodrama with hardcore scenes. By the time Taboo American Style was produced, Leonard was already moving away from performing, but her impact resonated. The series reflected her insistence that stories could be rich in character development and emotional stakes. In 1977, Leonard transitioned into a role that would reshape her career and the entire mature media landscape. She was hired as a publisher and editor of High Society magazine, a glossy, mature publication designed to compete with Penthouse and Hustler. Leonard approached the role with the same business acumen she had honed as a stockbroker. She understood branding, publicity, and controversy, and she knew how to capitalize on all three. One of her boldest moves was pioneering the publication of Celebrity. Leonard famously ran unauthorized photographs of stars like Margot Kidder and Vanessa Williams, igniting lawsuits, public outrage, and, crucially, skyrocketing sales. While the ethics of this tactic were heavily debated, Leonard saw it differently. Celebrities, she argued, lived off public attention. Why should be treated as shameful? In her view, exposing the double standards of American sexual hypocrisy was part of High Society's mission. Under Leonard's leadership, High Society became not just a successful magazine, but a cultural lightning rod, challenging ideas about privacy, fame, and sexuality in the tabloid era. Media figure and free speech advocate. Throughout the late 1970s and 1980s, Leonard emerged as the public face of the mature industry, a rare feat in a business that often forced its stars into hiding. She became a fixture on national television, appearing on The Phil Donahue Show, Oprah Winfrey, Geraldo Rivera's Now It Can Be Told, Nightline with Ted Koppel. Facing off against conservative critics, feminist anti-feminist activists, and moral crusaders, Leonard argued passionately and articulately for the rights of mature to access explicit material. She positioned mature entertainment not as an exploitive industry, but as a natural outgrowth of human desire, and one that could be empowering, particularly for women who chose it. She was not naive about the darker sides of business, drug abuse, exploitation, coercion, but she refused to let the worst examples define the whole industry. Leonard was a founding member and board director of the Mature Film Association of America, and later a key supporter of the Free Speech Coalition, fighting against censorship, obscenity laws, and moral policing. Her advocacy emphasized consensual sexual expression as a civil right, a radical idea that has slowly gained mainstream acceptance. Later years, talk radio and writing. As the VHS boom transformed the mature industry in the 1980s, Leonard adapted once again. She hosted several talk radio shows, notably Gloria Leonard Live, where she discussed intimacy, relationships, politics, and pop culture with her signature blend of humor and intelligence. Her shows tackled taboo topics with candor, decades before mainstream outlets would do the same. Leonard also wrote articles, essays, and op-eds about free speech, censorship, and the mature industry's place in American culture. She became a respected commentator not just on intimacy, but on the broader cultural battles around morality and freedom. Her voice remained vital even as younger generations of mature stars entered the scene. She was often sought out for documentaries, interviews, and retrospectives about the golden age of films and the evolution of media. Personal life, the woman behind the legend. Despite her high-profile career, Leonard kept her personal life relatively private. She raised her daughter, maintained close friendships, and managed to stay relatively scandal-free, a notable accomplishment given the volatile nature of fame in the mature world. Leonard never renounced her career, nor did she romanticize it. She spoke candidly about the challenges of aging in a youth-obsessed industry and the societal biases she faced as a former mature performer. Her humor remained sharp, her intellect undimmed, and her commitment to freedom unwavering. Death and enduring legacy. Gloria Leonard passed away from a stroke on February 3rd, 2014, in Pahoa, Hawaii, at the age of 73. She had been living a quieter life, enjoying the tropical climate and the slower pace. The tributes that followed her death came from all corners of the industry and beyond. Performers, journalists, free speech activists, and fans remember her not just as a trailblazing actress or publisher, but as a pioneer for women's rights, civil liberties, and freedom. Leonard helped reshape the way America talks about intimacy. She refused to be silenced, shamed, or sidelined. She fought for agency, not just for herself, but for all mature to explore their sexuality without fear or apology. Her life stands as a testament to the idea that intellect, sexuality, and activism are not mutually exclusive. They are, in fact, deeply interconnected. Gloria Leonard. Final thoughts. Gloria Leonard's life was a rich tapestry woven from ambition, courage, rebellion, intellect, and honesty. She lived without apology, challenged societal norms, and fought for a freer, more open world. In a society that often sought to pigeonhole women, especially those associated with work, Leonard refused categorization. She was a stockbroker, a symbol, a publisher, an activist, a mother, a provocateur, and a thinker. Today, she remains an enduring icon, the woman who showed that you could be smart, powerful, and unapologetically yourself, all at the same time.